Hello. Hello, everybody. I'm attempting to go live and my internet's been acting funny, so hopefully you guys can see me and hear me and everything's going great. So I don't know what its problem is today, but it's being strange. So today, instead of working on a comic page, because I've gotten really far ahead in what I have made for comic pages versus what's online, and I don't really want to be ruining things, so I got to get to a good non-spoilery page. I'm going to be working on an illustration. So today I'm going to be working on an illustration of the Ascelpion at Laerna, which is part of the In the Footsteps of Hercules adventure supplement from Skirmisher Publishing. It's actually already out, but I'm working on doing illustrations for it so they can update it and make it more awesomer later. So I have my little thumbnail. This is the sketch, and you can see some failed attempts at making the sketch work also on this same page. So I have my little sketch already good to go. I already have my piece of paper and my perspective grid already laid out on it so that I didn't have to do that really boring part while you guys are watching. So I just kind of tuck my thumbnail up out of the way in the corner there. Hopefully this is working. Yeah, okay. This is working. All right. And then first I just kind of have to knock in these basic forms of these characters. So I start with just some basic masses on them. Get their basic poses and the space they take up. So an Ascelpion, in case you're not familiar with ancient Greek terminology, is like a hospital complex named for Asclepios, which is ancient Greek founder of medicine. That's where we get the staff with the snakes around it. It's an Asclepios thing. Get these. And these characters are three like resident doctors at this particular hospital location. They also have like visiting doctors that come in as well. And what is this? What is this down here? It's a rooster. You don't really have to look up a rooster to get its basic shape because I have chickens, so I know what a rooster looks like. Big jerks. Also over here, we've got a dog. He will need some more reference because that's some awkward little stick legs on that dog. All right, we've got a little garden path that kind of swoops off to the side here. Little So each of these characters has a familiar. So this one has a dog, this one has a rooster, and this one has a snake that's going to be curled around the staff. So I'll probably knock that in a little bit later when I get more of the overall composition nailed down here. So we've got some, this is like a medicinal garden. So we've got some tall plants here. We've got some shrubs. So this kind of like bun shape is just my stand-in for a shrub. Another shrub back here, kind of showing that the garden goes back a little ways. Got some more tall flowers in here, some tall grasses. Some more taller shrubberies back here. I also wanted to have back here, there's going to be in the distance a statue. Which you won't see the base of, but you'll be able to tell from the way that you'll be able to tell from the fact that it's, you know, not going to have the same kind of details as these guys. And this ultimately is going to be a color illustration. So he'll be like made of bronze. So you'll know he's not a person, just a statue. Hey, it's Victory Condition Gaming. You need 3 more subscribers. So I have a unique URL. What? I knew I was close. I didn't realize I was that close. I'm only 3 away. I'll have to annoy people about this on the social medias later. That's awful close. I was wondering when I would get to that point. 3 subscribers is like, that's like nothing. I say it's like nothing, but in the world of trying to gain a social media following, that is like a mountain. Yeah, everyone subscribe. Do what Doug says. No, don't do what Doug says. In most instances, don't do what Doug says, except in this instance. What would my URL be? I mean, I'd probably have it be Amanda Call Art. It's fairly distinctive. I have a reasonably unique name, and it tells you what you need to know. The only problem is that everything that I associate and brand myself with, my name and my comic is, I have a problem with homophones, in that when I tell people what my comic is and I tell them it's Age of Night, and then I have to specify NIGHT, like the time of day, not the one with the K, like the guy in the suit of armor. Similarly, my last name is pronounced Call, which if you don't know what it looks like, you assume that it would be spelled the anglicized version, which is, like make a phone call, CALL, but that's not how it's spelled. It's still spelled in the German version. So no matter what I do, I'm going to have to be spelling it my entire life. I'm very used to spelling my last name, though. I usually don't even, if I have to have a doctor's appointment or something, or some other place where they ask you what your name is and they don't know who you are, they ask you your last name. I literally never even say my last name. I just spell it. I've given up even saying call and then spelling it, or saying call with a K, because they don't hear you when you say with a K. They just immediately go to the C file, and it's just no. So I literally just will go, they'll be last name, and KAHL. Just not even going to waste my time here. Okay, so in the background here, past the edge of this pretty little garden here, we've got a cliff side, and in the side of the cliff, we've got an arch. It's a really cool feature of this particular fictional hospital, is that it's got this underground dream temple where people go in and they go into this cave and they try to they sleep and they dream and they tell the priests their dreams, and the priests interpret the dreams to try to diagnose what's wrong with them, which I think is a really cool concept, especially for an RPG or a fantasy story. Footsteps of Hercules is a lot like City Builder and a lot of the other like what's the word? System agnostic. That's the phrase I was looking for. Like a lot of the system agnostic supplements actually also make really cool, just writing prompts, just really cool things to just write stories from. Okay, and there's some of the actual hospital buildings back there. Okay, so I've got everything roughed in. That took me about 10 minutes. So now you can see how the basic skeleton of this piece now matches. You can see how the basic skeleton, oh my gosh, I'm a wreck. The basic skeleton of this piece now matches the sketch. There we go, now everything's in frame. So now I've got it knocked in. I can actually kind of just scoot my sketch up to the side a little bit and not worry about balancing it on the edge of my drafting table and start working on some of the actual details on here. I do need to sharpen my pencil though. I'm going to look up this dog real quick. And thank goodness we all have the internet in our pockets. So the type of dog that I wanted it to be is called an Ibizan hound. Stop. Internet, come on. Ibizan hound. It's an ancient breed of hound, and I think they're really pretty. And they come from like the Mediterranean, if I remember correctly. And look at his pretty face. He's so pretty. I like how like long and lean they are. And they've got that classic head. All right. So that's what we're going to be using as a reference for dog. Reference for dog. Which clearly I've made this dog a little bit stout if I want him to actually look like an Ibizan hound. So I'm going to have to kind of, yes, just erase everything I just drew of this dog, but that's okay because he's going to still basically be in the same spot. I think he's going to be a little bit taller. I think these are pretty tall dogs. Major part of his skull is kind of like a cube. And then he's got a very pointy nose. Big, tall, pointy ears. Very long, slender neck. And very long-legged, lean dog. And remember that his feet have to stay in perspective. So here's my perspective grid. That's part of why I laid this down here. So now if this foot is here, then the other one is going to follow that perspective line if they're actually like right next to each other and be over here, up a little bit. Well, up from the perspective of the viewer. Come back, reference. I need to look at this dog's face some more. Okay, so he's got his little the little doggy concerned brow like they have. Clean up some of this underdrawing a little bit. He doesn't really have much in the way of a jowl. He's got a very flat lower jaw. That looks silly. That's not right. I pulled it too far back. Shouldn't go any further than the front corner of his eye. There we go. That's better. All right. Now, okay, so that shape on the ear is not quite right. It needs to be more like that. I don't think these dogs' ears are docked. I think that's just actually the shape that they have. Since it's an older breed, they don't have, like, it's an ancient type breed. They don't have that kind of lop-eared look to them. The way that a lot of domestic dogs do, especially later breeds. There we go. I think that's a better shape on those ears. Thank goodness for the internet. Now you can see that I'm cheating and listening to Spotify while I am working. Look, I'm not allowed to have music playing in the background here, or else I'll get in trouble and YouTube will be mad at me, and then you can't watch my video. So yes, I listen to Spotify with earbuds and while I'm doing this. This doggie's not wearing a collar, though. He's a familiar, so he's a good boy even without a collar. All right. Even though some of that's going to end up outside the line of where it's going to be reproduced, I'm just kind of using that as to make sure that I get the whole shape the right way. Oops. This little ankle. I can't really see his feet on this, but they look like doggy feet, I would guess. I would hazard a guess. Although they are in a garden, so I imagine he'll probably end up obscuring his little paws here a little bit anyway. There's that bony ankle up there. All right. So yeah, they're going to be obscured a little bit with the grass, but I needed to know where that shape was before I tried to cheat and hide it. I know this is not the usual day that I stream. This past week was, what's the technical term for it? A shit show? So I'm doing 2 streams this week to try to make up for the complete disaster that was my life last week. So I'm doing one today. I will still do one later in the week as usual. Maybe by then I will actually have their Age of Night page to work on for you. If not, I'll come up with something else fun. Like this. It's kind of fun to take a break from the comic pages every once in a while and do some of my freelance work. A lot of the freelance work, it's like I really want to share it with people and I'm very excited about it, but because of what the publisher wants to do with it, or whoever commissioned me wants to do with it, I can't share it right away. Like I have to wait until they release it. But Skirmisher, Mike Verhola, one of the owners of Skirmisher who commissioned me for this, already shared my initial sketch on social media. So it's like, okay, I guess I'm good to share this with people while I work on it. I guess that works. All right. I don't have like a whole lot of guidance on what any of these characters are supposed to look like. There's no description of them. So I just get to make them look however I want. Let's see, I think I've got this. This guy's a little bit younger. So the product this is for, In the Footsteps of Hercules, is a system agnostic description of a pilgrimage to for adventurers to follow in the footsteps of Hercules, following along with the 12 trials of Hercules. So these are all like the places in the myths are all actual like real locations, and so Mike, who Barhola, who authored this particular supplement, mapped the whole thing out and figured out how you could travel this same way and see these sites that are referred to in these myths, which is pretty cool. They're all like real places. And so you're basically like, the idea is that you're in some version in an RPG or in some version of Greece. Maybe it's actual ancient Greece. Maybe it's a fantasy version of Greece. You know, maybe it's just like, maybe you're going to use something like Metal Magic and Lore and have it be really realistic and gritty. Or maybe you're going to use something like D&D and have it be like, yeah, you're like elves and half-orcs and stuff going on this journey. So, you know, you can, since it's a system agnostic resource, you can do it however you want, basically. But it just gives you the locations and the cool stuff that happens there and different adventure hooks. And I've gotten to play test it as it was being written, and it's a lot of fun. Some of the locations and the things that you have to do there are a lot of fun. Okay, so I kind of roughed in a little more detail on this guy here. And now I'm going to start fine-tuning those details even further. Hopefully I'm describing everything from this product like correctly and adequately, and Mike's not going to comment on this video later like, actually. Like I said, there is a version of it available already, but it's going to be updated with more artwork and more maps and more locations and everything as time goes on. So even if you like bought it now, you would get those updates because it's just an electronic product. So you can always like just download it again and delete the old version. And you don't have to pay for it again. You're just like, yeah, I own this. Download updated version. Sweet. Which is a nice feature of DriveThruRPG. So, which, yes, I am working on this. So obviously, like, I have something of a vested interest in it, but I don't get like I don't get a commission on each sale. I get paid for this illustration when it's done. That is it. This younger guy's a little bit like, he's kind of like got this kind of like broad, meaty kind of thing. He's got like big hands and some nice meaty arms there. I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to draw a little bit different body type where he's kind of small framed, but he's pretty well built. Oh, yeah, he needs clothes. That might be good. I want to start drawing some clothes on this guy. When we were consulting about these illustrations, last night, I think, and Mike asked me, have you ever drawn so many peploses in your life? And the answer is no, of course I have not. He's going to be wearing more of like a chiton, though. Chiton, however you pronounce it. I think. I'm not like 100% clear on what the difference is sometimes. Like, I always have to look it up and be like, wait a minute, what am I doing here? He's got like bear paw hands. I kind of love it. Some people just got like big old mitts. Wait, now I need to think for a minute. Geometry. Okay. Is his hand in front or is his arm in front? If he's like got his hand out like this. I guess his arm is in front from this perspective because it's going this way. Yes? Sure. Drawing's hard, y'all. Alright, so there's I'm going to add this little decorative edge before I forget. Little decorative edge to his chiton here. So that's the shorter version, so it's only going to come about to his knees. Back when I used to live with people who really, really like to watch TV, I haven't been much of a TV person for like, I don't know, since I got out of middle school, basically. I just get bored. I just have a hard time with TV holding my attention for too long. That's not like I'm too good for TV. I guess I just don't have the attention span for it. I don't have the attention span for a lot of things that I'm not like actively interacting with, like anything passive like that. I have a hard time with my brain not just wandering off and being like, I'm done here. Give me something else to do now. But back when I used to live with people who were very into TV, and so I just ended up kind of watching a lot of it by osmosis because my work space was always like in the common area. Because life hack, you should not have your studio space in your sleeping space, like ever, if you can help it. Or else you will not be able to sleep or work without great difficulty. Your brain will never know which mode it's supposed to be in. I will eventually finish this story, I swear. So, back when I lived with people who watched a whole hell of a lot of TV, and therefore I just kind of sort of absorbed a lot of TV by extension, even if I wasn't really actively watching it. What was it on? It was one of the like makeover shows on Bravo or whatever, where Tim Gunn was on it, and I remember, like, I swear, like, every single episode, he always said that man only has 4 toes. Let me fix that. He would always say, like, when he was updating the ladies' wardrobe, he would always, every single episode, he would criticize the length of skirt that women wore and say that skirts should always fall just above, just below, or just at the knee. Because too long makes you look short. Well, dude, what if I am short? Like, some of us are just short. There's nothing you're going to do about that. Nothing you're going to do about that. I don't know. I think those kinds of shows are very silly, but whatever. I guess chitons are also supposed to fall. Just, I would say just at or just above, just below or just at the knee. Is that the rule for chitons too? I could be wrong. I could be drawing this at entirely the wrong length. And everybody's wearing sandals all the time. What happened to your foot, dude? That's not a good shape for a foot to be. Okay, that's better. I'm not going to say it's good, but it's better. Okay. Some grass. I'll probably add more grass later as I go. Okay, so that's one figure and his familiar, so I guess technically 2 figures. Done. How are we doing on time? Let me check. Let me check what's going on with time. It is 32 minutes in. Sweet. So I usually have these run for about an hour, so we're in pretty good shape. I've moved along pretty well. This figure's next over here, but this figure is actually in front of this figure. He's kind of like tucked back between the 2 of them, and these 2 are the ones that are closest to the camera. I hate that term, but they're closest to the viewer. So I'm going to work on her next because she's going to overlap this guy some. And rather than having to erase a bunch of stuff that I already worked on him, I'm just going to do her first. I'm not working in ink, so it's not as much of a consideration of having to move from left to right so that I'm not dragging my hand through wet ink. It's just pencil. If I get covered in blue pencil, which I do all the time, it's not a big deal. So I'm going to add a little bit more to this mannequin so that she's more than just a skeleton here. Try to figure out what's going on with her pose and everything here. Women have on average, slightly wider and shorter pelvises. Men's are usually taller and skinnier. On average, you can have men with fairly wide pelvises. You can have women with fairly skinny pelvises, but on average, women's pelvises tend to be more wide and short. For what I should think are pretty obvious reasons, I'm going to adjust her pose here slightly. That leg's a little bit too stiff. especially if this is the side that her staff is on, so she won't necessarily have to be like leaning on that leg as much. So we'll like make her pose a little bit more interesting here. Like she's kind of not bearing as much weight on that one. I like that. That's better. See, people are having a lively discussion. We're all gesticulating. All right. And she's got a staff here, which I will definitely have to break out my straight edge for to get straight all the way to the ground. Because that probably is not that straight, whatever I just drew. I mean, it looks fairly straight, but my straight edge will make a liar of me, I'm sure. All right, and then she's got a snake who, her familiar is a snake who coils around her staff. So there's his little snaky head. There's where he's wrapped around the front, over her hand, over the top of her hands, and he's going to wrap back around, come around over her wrist. I feel like snakes like to do that sort of thing, wrap around people too. And then kind of down here where he kind of tapers off. I saw my first snake of the spring 2 days ago. And even though we do not have venomous snakes in Maine, it is not a thing. Like I think in some areas in really, really far, like southern and western Maine, we might have, like I think on very rare occasion, some like rattlesnakes have been spotted. But in general, venomous snakes are not a thing in Maine. Venomous anything is not really a thing in Maine. But there's just something, and I don't mind snakes at all. Like I think they're cool. And I will pick up and handle like gardener snakes, especially like first thing in the morning when they're still like all drowsy and they're kind of, since they're cold and they're still kind of sleepy, and you can just like scoop them up and they're just like, what? They're not really active or like super likely to bite. I like snakes. I think they're cool, but there's just something about when you see a snake, just like when you catch that slithery movement in your view and you aren't expecting it, that just like that lizard part of your brain makes you just stop and jump back and be like, ah! I was like, I happened to be walking past this like dirt mound fairly quickly, and it startled the little I think it was like a grass snake that was hiding in there. And he just slithered out, and I just heard that sound in the dry grass and saw him move. And even though my second reaction was, oh, cool, snake, I finally saw my first snake of the spring, my first reaction was just that instinctive, like, ah! Like, jump back. I just think it's so funny how we're programmed as human robots. I just think our little meat computers and our skulls are funny sometimes. I'll give this lady is a little bit older. Not like old, but later middle age. She still doesn't look like she's looking at him, though. She looks like she's looking somewhere else. I need to adjust that pupil slightly. That's better. That hairline's not very flattering. Let's try that again. Move it up ever so slightly. That's a little better. I'm not familiar with what kind of what, if any, kind of ear jewelry ancient Greek women had. I will have to ask about that. All right, so here's her hand on her staff. Eek, I don't like that line on the back of her hand. And her snake friend. I forgot to ask what kind of snake he's supposed to be. We'll have to research. Non-venomous Mediterranean snakes. Open to suggestions. If anyone has a suggestion they want to drop for a non-venomous Mediterranean snake. We'll give him the little, Python-style puppy dog head, though. Everybody likes the little Python puppy heads. How can you not? I really like snakes. I like seeing them. I like handling them. I like, if someone else has a pet snake and they're like, do you want to see it? I'm like, hell yeah, I want to see it. But I don't think I would have a pet snake of my own just because I would be afraid I wouldn't do a good job. It's like, I'm confident I know how to I know how to take care of a cat. I know how to take care of a dog. I know how to take care of freshwater fish. Saltwater fish are a whole other thing. I just don't have any experience with reptiles. I'd be afraid that I would give him a bad life and do something wrong and make him sick. Just exotic pets. I just don't know. I just don't know anything about them. I've never had any kind of unusual pet or specialty type pet. So that would make me nervous. Especially these days with the proliferation of really specialty information that you can get everywhere, but then also people who are very opinionated about their specialty information. And it's like, if you don't do all of these things exactly the way I would do them, you're a horrible person. All right, time to break out the straight edge. Wow, I'm impressed with myself. That is not as wonky as I thought it was. Only a little bit wonky. Whoops, I just drew a line through his tail. There we go. Clean that up a little bit. Clean that up. All right. Here we go. There's her staff. I hopefully won't need my straight edge for anything else in this illustration. Oh, I might on the arch. All right. She is gonna, so yeah, I'm not sure what to put for a pattern on this snake. I will have to look that up. So now I'm gonna draw, now she needs clothes. Nobody's naked in this scene other than the animals. So I need to work on her. Lovely Peplos. Get all the draping. And then like the waist on a Peplos is actually like really high. It's like actually above even your, I think either right above or right at your natural waist, which is higher than you expect waists on garments to be in most modern clothing. Oh, no, that's gotta, that curve's gonna have to go back to follow the fact that her leg is coming back a little bit. So that's gonna have a little effect on how that works. Okay, and so now we can start erasing some of this underdrawing here because you're not gonna see her legs. You're just gonna see the folds in the fabric on the skirt of her Peplos. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier, you might notice my cool new cover photo. I finally have a cool cover photo courtesy of Mr. Doug Shute of Victory Condition Gaming. He was nice enough to set that up for me. Well, he like made the graphic correct for me. He made the little graphic and made sure it was actually correct for me to use, and I put it on there because that part was easy. And you should check out his channel at Victory Condition Gaming. I'm on that channel pretty frequently, and then you get to actually see my face and not just hear my voice while I am drawing. I don't know if that's a thing that people care about, is seeing people's faces while they draw. I've seen some people do it that way, where they have like a camera on their face while they're talking, and then also a camera on them drawing. I don't even know how to like deal with multiple camera feeds. Like the fact that I can manage one camera and a microphone and going live, that's an accomplishment. That's an accomplishment for yours truly, technologically challenged as I am. As you might imagine by the fact that I'm drawing on paper and not on a iPad like every other artist that you know of. Okay. Okay, there's her hand. She's gesturing. She's trying to explain to this guy her position on their consultation. She's like, but did you think about? Here we go. All right, that's looking pretty good. Where are we at? Oh, we're at almost 50 minutes already. Wow. There's a lot going on in this image, so it's going a little bit more slowly than I maybe necessarily would have liked. But that's okay. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I have to count out loud every time I draw a foot to make sure it has the sufficient number of toes on it. All right, let's clean that up a little bit. Her sandals, some toes here. All right, we've got the edge of this path here. When I ink, I'll probably have some of these blades of grass come in front of her feet too, but I'd rather know where her feet are and exactly what shape they are before I try to obscure any of them. I can kind of decide when I get to the inking stage how much I want to cover up there. All right, there's the edge of the path. All right, now I need to draw this guy and his rooster. Oh, his rooster is in front of him. Roosters are fun. Although I gotta scoot him a little bit because his feet are like too close to her. So I think I need to scoot him over a little bit. This is big. Roosters and their big chests and their big tails. There, now he's standing like that foot is still a little too low. Scoot that up just a little. There we go. Now he's standing pretty close to her, but clearly between the two figures. That beak's a little bit too big. That's more like it. And their big old waddle. And no, I'm not using any reference because, again, I have chickens. I'm very familiar with these beasts. We're completely foolish and are looking at even getting more laying hens this year. Why? Why are we getting more chickens? I don't know. Because it's like this madness takes hold of you when you start raising chickens and you just always want more chickens. I don't know what I don't know how else to explain it. You just big ridiculous tail. This is honestly not even like as big as this chicken looks. Roosters can be enormous. I have one confirmed rooster right now, and he's a little bantam, and he's not done growing up yet. So he crowed for the first time this morning, and it was the funniest thing because he's still so little. Like they still make they don't even cluck yet. Like these bantams are still so little that they don't actually properly cluck. They're still just like going peep 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 like chicks because they basically are just really big chicks. They're not really grown up yet. And then the little rooster tried to crow and it just sounded like he did it when I first came in the coop and I was like, what was that? And then he did it again and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're trying to crow. You are not good at this yet, sir. You need to work on that. And his big old spurs. Roosters have big old spurs. I am tickled with this big old rooster. quite tickled with my big old rooster. All right, and we have about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to start doing all the things while I work on this final figure here. So I'm Amanda. This is my channel, Amanda Call Art. You should subscribe to it if you have not already. Apparently, I'm really close to a major milestone. I'm close to 100 subscribers, which is pretty sweet. And I mean, not a lot of subscribers in the grand scheme of things, but I appreciate every single one of you. You have no idea. It's really awesome having people want to hang out and chat with me while I draw. So if you subscribe and you hit the bell notification thingy, then YouTube will let you know. Either on your desktop or your phone or whatever your device is that you have synced to YouTube. It'll let you know when I go live so you don't miss it, because as much as I would like to have a very nice, consistent schedule for when I do these things, I just do not. My life, especially right now, homeschooling my children and whatever else, is not conducive to that. So yeah, so having the subscription and notifications enabled is the best way to make sure that you actually know when I'm going live or uploaded another video or whatever. Today I'm working on a piece from In the Footsteps of Hercules, which is published by Skirmisher Publishing. You can find it on DriveThruRPG. And yeah, this is a piece that I'm getting paid to do for that, which is pretty cool. But I also, you will often see me on this channel working on pages from my webcomic, Age of Night. It's AGEOFNIGHT. You can find that at ageofnight.com. You can subscribe to my Patreon and help support me in making artwork. Specifically comics, but other kinds of artwork like illustrations like this as well. This guy is older and he is bald, mostly, and has a big beard. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, where else you can find me? You can also find me on Instagram at Amanda Call Art, and you can find me on Twitter at Age of Night. And I will probably post the finished pencils of this, possibly later tonight. I'm going to have to start making supper for my family pretty soon here, but possibly later tonight. If not tomorrow, you can follow up on my other social media and see the finished pencils for this piece. I would reckon. He's going to wear a longer one because he's older. And he doesn't want anyone to see his old chicken legs. That's what I'm going with. That's what we're going with. All right, I think that's all the things I had to tell you. I'm pretty much at an hour now. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you can't see those because the chicken's in the way. Okay, so this illustration, this is for the Ascelpion at Laerna. It's going to be in the Footsteps of Hercules from Skirmisher. I started off with just the perspective grids and my live area marked out. From there, working from this sketch, roughed in the entire illustration, and I have finished 2 human figures, a dog, a rooster, and a snake, and most of a 3rd human figure. And after that, it's basically just adding all the plants and everything in the background. So I'm pretty far along on this. I've got a pretty good start to it. And hopefully you guys will get a chance to see this piece finished before too long. So thanks everyone for coming and hanging out with me, and thanks if you left a comic. And we're at 100! Yay! That's amazing news. Thanks, Doug. Thanks for letting me know and for the shout out. That's awesome. That's great news to end the stream on. So thanks everybody, and hopefully I will see you later this week. I'm going to do another one of these either Friday or Saturday. So I will see you then.